This week is a favorite on the reef and dinner table, from chumming up schools in the Keys to light tackle fun along the Atlantic reefs.
That's right, Bree. These fish are plentiful, they're scrappy, delicious, and we're talking about yellowtails on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and welcome back to the studio. Rick, all the fall things are falling into place as we kicked off football, hunting seasons among us, and couple that with a few yellowtail. Chef's kiss. It's going to be a great weekend.
You're right about that hunting. That's what we were doing. Woo! We were a little pre-warm up down in Argentina shooting doves until our arms fell off.
Oh yeah, well they're still there, but you made it into the 1,000 club, I hear. So
how about that?
Congratulations.
That cool. Shoot 1,000 doves in one day.
Oh,
very expensive, baby.
Very expensive, but worth it. Okay, let's say hi to Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench. Dave, you ready to talk some yellowtail or what?
Yes, we're going to talk about yellowtail snapper. I actually went to a little excursion as well. I went to a fantasy football draft party. I drank 1,000 beers in one day.
There we go. I think I might have too. All right, well, also joining us in the studio is our friend and artist, Dennis Friel, who is on set today painting something special for the upcoming CCA Homestead Banquet. Hello, Dennis. I'm so excited to see what we are going to get later.
Dennis, what you got?
It's looking good.
Well, I am painting this redfish for the CCA, and hopefully I can get some progress made on it today.
All right, get busy.
We're going to follow along with you, but we're breaking out the chum first in the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region with Captain Jimbo Thomas. So let's see how he gets them to the boat. Hello, Jimbo.
Hey, Bree, Rick, and Dave. You know, yellowtail in the Southeast region is pretty productive, and the further south you get, the better the reef gets, and this is also a great time to target them, especially in the evenings. That's when they typically bite the best. And it's not so hot out like this summer heat's been killing us. Now, the shallow reefs and patches, they hold a lot of yellowtails, but most of those are going to be on the small side. So if you keep out to the deeper water, the fish are going to average a lot better size, from hopefully 1 pound and up to flags or 4 pounds or more. You want to look for hard bottom and 40 to 80 feet of water, and watch that depth machine for any signs of fish, and then get anchored up and start chumming. Glass minnows and silver sides will also sweeten up that chum mixture. Now, the more chum, the better. A lot of times, it's a good idea to start chumming and don't even put a line in the water until those fish get happy and get boiling up in the chum behind the boat. Now, I like to use a light pin spinning outfit with 12 to 15 pound test and a 2-0 hook tied straight to the main line. If you're using a high-vis line, you want to use a light fluoro or a clear mono leader. Best baits are bonito, squid, or ballyhoo. You want to cut them into small strips and drift them back in the chum, and that's typically what works best. And also, you want to have some current to drift that stuff back and get your chum moving. A small jig, bait it with one of those strips and drift it back in the chum is also a great way to get them if they're a little bit boat shy and staying back. And also if they're staying down a little deep, so that jig head will get that bait down a little deep. And it might take some time, but occasionally fish will get chummed right up to the boat, eaten right at the chum back. Now I got a photo here, and this is a flag yellowtail caught by Craig Fountain. And I'm not sure if that was a Bahamian yellowtail or not, but it's definitely full grown.
Definitely full grown for sure. What else you got this week, Jimbo?
Now, a little further offshore, we're still finding dolphin on a regular basis. And from one day to the next, the bite has been anywhere from good to excellent, depending on how lucky you get and what you find floating. Fish have been anywhere from 8 to 15 miles offshore. You can possibly find them further as well. And most of the fish are being found under patches of sargassum and floaters. And there has been some bird on top of some of the fish, especially on the floaters. We've been trolling small feathers around the grass and then throwing live pilchards and small blue runners and cut bait once we find the fish. And they've been hanging around some of the larger patches if you get lucky to find those. And we've noticed that the fish have been staying deep, whether it's on a patch or on a floater. So you want to let your bait soak a little bit longer than usual. And if they're around, they will pop up after a few minutes. And most of the fish have been nice-sized schoolies with a few fish up to 20 pounds caught in the last week. Got another photo. This is Bill Dieterle with a nice dolphin, and you can see the storm building in the background, so be careful out there with these afternoon storms popping up too. Watch out for that lightning. Now, moving inshore, snook fishing remains good in the inlets and in the surf and off the beaches. In the inlets, fish the live herrings, pilchards, pinfish, and croakers, or you can bounce jigs or soft plastics along the bottom in the evening. Snook have been biting on both tides, but outgoing seems to be a little bit better. And the fish have also moved off the beaches where they're being caught from both the shore and by boat. If you're shore-bound, try walking the beach in the early morning or late afternoon and cast live baits or green and white gulp or Bass Assassin 4-inch jerk baits right into that trough that's just off the beach. And if the seas are calm and the water clear, you might be able to sight fish those snook cruising in the surf. Smaller fish are roaming in schools, and the larger ones have been in singles or pairs. And then the peacock bass have been biting really good in the urban canal and lake system of Dade and Broward counties, especially in the south end of the region. Best peacock fishing has been around structures such as bridge and dock pilings in areas with clear water and current. Peacocks, which have been in anywhere from the 2 to 5 pound range, they've been hitting small live shiners and minnows, small twitch baits and chartreuse or blue and silver, and then quarter-ounce root beer-colored jigs. And unlike those largemouth, peacocks are going to bite best in the middle of the day when the sun is at its hottest. Got another photo here. This is a couple of nice peacocks caught by Emilio and Albert in West Broward County.
All right, bud. Thank you so much for starting us off tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the ACR hotspots from the Casa Vieja Southeast region. Jimbo says that inshore, look for the snook and the tarpon in all the inlets and off of the beaches in the evening and early mornings where they are eating live and artificial baits. And then offshore, cast live and cut baits to the dolphin offshore under birds, around weed lines, and any floating debris.
And then do the dolphin dance. I always
That's it.
dance when I catch a dolphin. All right, let's take the Yellow Brick Road on down into the Black Oak LED Keys region to see what tricks Captain Ridge Murphy has up his sleeve for us. Hello, Ridge. How we doing?
Good. You know, yellowtails are a fun way to get out on the water and catch a bunch of fish for a fish fry. And here in the Black Oak LED region, we get yellowtails all up and down from Key Largo to Key West. The number one thing you're going to want to need when it comes to yellowtail fishing is current. Having good current is going to allow you to anchor up or spot lock and have a good consistent chum slick. You're going to want to put a block of chum out and have a bucket of defrosted block of chum mixed with oats and sand and menhaden oil, and you're going to throw little scoops of this at a time. This is going to get the yellowtails nice and fired up behind the boat where they're let their guard down. You're going to want to free line small baits on mono line, anywhere from 8 to 20 pound clear mono on yellowtail jigs or small little eagle hawk J hooks. You can use cut baits like chunk, ballyhoo, shrimp, or squid, and the key is free lining the bait with little or no resistance, making the bait look like a piece of chum floating naturally in the current with all the rest of the pieces. Watch the speed of the line as it comes off the reel, and one of two things is going to happen. It's going to slow down or speed up drastically. You're going to make sure to have an R&R hooker nearby. And remember, guys, 12 inches for the pinch tail and 10 per person to your snapper aggregate limit. I have a photo of a really nice yellowtail that was caught down in Key West by Jack Walker.
Nice. All right, let's go. What else you got offshore, bub?
You know, I spoke to Captain Justin Miller off the Real McCoy out of Bud and Mary's, and he says that it's just like the weeks past. The tuna fish has been pretty red hot with the mahis mixed in. You're going to look for tuna birds around the 409 and the West Hump, and before you head offshore, make sure to load up on bait. Look on your sounder for the tuna marks, and then chum live pilchards while bumping into the current, free-lining 2 baits hooked in the nose, drifting behind the boat with little resistance, as the hook baits are going to stay with the chummers. Use 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader and an Eagle Claw live bait hook in 2-0 or 3-0. When you get the bite, work fast using short little pumps and get the fish's head angled up to try and get them to the boat before the sharks do. And I have a photo sent in by Justin Miller off the Real McCoy with a nice mixed bag of tunas and mahis. They got the tunas, and then on their way back in, they ran over a really nice floater and caught some mahis on the way in.
Nice. All right, let's go inshore, bub.
You know, the late summertime fishing is in full effect right now. and the red fishing in Florida Bay has been pretty fun. Look for the redfish on the backs of the rays and on the edges of the mullet muds and potholes on the high spots of the flats. The fish can be in groups of 2 to 6 with the occasional meatball, and you want to pull along the flats looking for the ray muds or tailing fish and keep an eye out for some laid-up snook mixed in. You want to throw a Fenwick Pro Elite or an HMG 7-foot 6-inch medium light fast with a bass assassin 4-inch sea shad or 5-inch jerkbait, rigged weedless in the color of your choice. In the last few trips, we've been throwing the Flamingo Flash, and it's been working pretty well for us. I have a photo of the Kittner family, father-son duo, and nice 2 redfish from Florida Bay.
Nice. All
Also, down in the lower Keys, Captain Jared Sears says he's seeing quite a few bonefish around. Look for the fish waking up on the tops of the flats, rumbling around and tailing. You're going to pull with the current as the fish will be swimming into the current. And keep an eye out for silver flashes, tails, and muds. Stop the boat short of the fish and throw a live shrimp, wig reedless, with 1 or 2 small split shots to help you throw it on that 7-foot 6-inch Fenwick medium fast light rod. And make sure to lead them quite a bit and watch your bait rather than the fish. And once the fish gets into the same frame as your bait, you just want to bump it slow and they're going to pile on it. And you can also throw flies to these fish for a softer presentation if you like.
All right, thank you so much, Ridge. Good report. I appreciate your hard work this week. We're going to go and take a look at the scientific angler hotspots from the Florida Keys region. He says inshore bonefish rumbling up on the top of the flats. Pull with the current, looking for the mudders and the tailors. Stop the boat short and then throw with a big lead, waiting for the fish to approach the bait. Let that shrimp sit on the bottom. All right, then offshore. Blackfin tunas on the humps, chum with live pilchards, getting the fish to come up in the water column. Free line live baits back as you bump the boat into the current. Horse the fish in because the sharks, they're brutal right now.
Can you show me what horse the fish in looks like?
That means tighten down the drag and don't worry about being all sporty and, let them scream off drag.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, just put it on. Just put them on.
All right,
Where's little booty
I
out?
want to see the action.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, well,
There's
let's
your
dive on in and see what tournaments are going on in the Florida Keys.
All right.
Horsing around over here. All right, it's time to get registered for the annual Take Stock in Children Backcountry Tournament in Key Largo, with anglers fishing around the clock from Friday night, September 26th, through Sunday afternoon, September 28th. Then anglers gather at the Islander Resort in Isla Mirada and fish over 2 days for 7 species in the one-of-a-kind Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Fishing Championship to benefit the angler experience of the Everglades National Park. Next is the Fall Backcountry Fly Championship, where anglers compete October 3rd and 4th in Isla Mirada to catch the most inches of snook and redfish on fly. And finally, anglers vie for cash prizes for the top 3 swordfish and the largest wahoo during the Marathon Offshore Swords and Stripes Tournament, October 8th through the 12th in Marathon. For more information on Keys tournaments, go to flakeys.com. But we're seeing what the Also Equipment East region is reeling in this week. But first, Dave's giving us all the goods for that flag Yellowtail for rigs and techniques at the CCA workbench.
I'm not giving you all the goods.
Not all of them?
Rick's giving some
He's
goods
giving
as well.
some goodies.
I am?
Good
Okay.
ones. All right, plus we're
Sure you are.
checking in with Mike Holliday in the Also Equipment East region and seeing how the CCA painting by Dennis Friel is coming along. It's looking pretty good. I thought it was done before you started.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, it's time to talk about yellowtails here at the CCA Workbench
man.
and Rigs and Techniques is what we're doing tonight.
Well,
Let's go ahead.
yellowtails, they're a beautiful and tasty little fish. They inhabit the Atlantic Ocean all the way from Maine to Brazil, believe it or not. At all the little reefs and patch reefs and stuff, even out in deep water up to 300 feet. As a matter of fact, most of the big giant yellowtails come from places like Bermuda and Hawaii and, places where there's really deep water, and they catch these big giant yellowtails around those big reefs. But here, if we catch a 5-pounder, that's a giant.
Right.
A 5-pounder is a trophy. Some people call them flags. I caught one time in West Palm. I was using a triple rig with a whole ballyhoo on it, trying to catch a kingfish. Ended up catching a 5-pound yellowtail. Gave it to my father-in-law, and it was like I gave him a box of gold. He loved it. He was a Bahamian guy, so he loved those yellowtails.
All right.
So 10 yellowtail per person per day is what you can get here in Florida, and they have to be 12 inches, as Ridge said earlier. So we want to make sure that you cull them properly and don't get one that's a little too short. Usually you catch these fish, they get up in schools in like 60 to 100 feet of water down in the south, and a good current is what you're looking for. When you go out there, if you got a good current, then you should probably day to start fishing.
And it's important to have the current and the wind going together.
Correct.
When the two are fighting, then a lot of times what happens is your stuff just goes straight down.
Right.
Okay.
And a good current, it disperses your chum, which actually gets out there and draws the fish to you. If there ain't no current, like you said, the chum ain't going nowhere.
Right.
And it ain't helping you out. So most guys will start out with 2 chum bags. You want to use a fairly fine mesh because you don't want to feed them till they get fat. You want to just get a bunch of stuff out there, but little stuff, so that and gets up on top. And then you can throw out your oat chum. And a good oat chum, is rolled oats with some, cat food, maybe some loaf of bread thrown in there, some seawater. Some guys, if they're fishing in deep, deep water and they want their chum to get deep, they'll put sand in there and ball it up with sand. But, a lot of guys don't use sand because that pretty much,
falls straight down.
Falls straight down, like you were talking about.
Right.
So if you don't have those situations and you want to get that yellow brick road, chum and chum. Don't start putting your baits out right away. Give them some time till you see them all come up in that big golden spot on the surface, that yellow brick road that we're all looking for. And be patient. Start maybe with one guy. And if he's
one rod at a time.
Right. And if he's doing well, maybe you can ease out a couple of rods and you'll have 2 rods out. But if the bite stops, go ahead and stop fishing for 10 minutes. Throw out some more chum and then wait. And then go at them again.
Now, what size line should we be using?
But anywhere between 10 and 15 pound tests,
Monofilament?
Monofilament. You want to use monofilament. You want to tie, they have really good eyesight. So you could use a little 20-pound fluorocarbon leader if you want to, but tying straight 12-pound to one of these little larva jigs is probably your best bet. And you can fish anything on that, piece of shrimp. You can go through your chum bag and get some of the bigger stuff out of there if you want. That always works well. Strips of squid. Probably the best, though, is bonita or little tunas. It's the skin off of a blackfin tuna or a little bonito.
And cut it in a little small piece.
Correct.
So that you're mimicking the chunks that are coming out of the chum.
Right. And when you shake that bag, you watch that chum falling out, you want your bait to fall about at the same rate as that chum. And we're going to show you a little bit what happens when you do that.
So the mistake that most people make, Dave, is what?
Well, they lift the rod. They stop the chum from flowing along.
I'm mimicking what the line. Now watch the line. Alex, show Dave there. And what happens is the current, this monofilament's just flowing off down current. And as it starts to go a little faster, if it goes like this, then most likely that's a bite.
And
the mistake that everybody makes while they're letting the line out is they go like that. And when they go like that, when you raise up the rod to keep it slack, that actually stops your little piece of bait from flowing naturally. And now 50 fish just saw your bait go up current, and now they know. And they're really that smart.
Yeah, and that's why you only do one angler at a time for a little while, and then if you're still catching fish, go ahead and put 2 guys out there. But once it stops, you got to stop fishing for a minute and let them get back up to the top again, because they get wary. They're smarter than you think, and they get a lot of pressure in their defense. They get a lot. They get pressured a lot, so they get when all their buddies start disappearing. They think, hey, something must be up, and it usually is. It's one of us.
Guys, remember this. That same exact technique is what you can use when you got mangrove snappers that are coming up off of the wreck or coming up off of the ledge. It's the same principle. Just let it flow naturally down current. You got to manually do it so that it doesn't stop. Most of the time, people don't pay attention, and then it stops coming off of the spool. guess what? Your drift stops, and then you stop fishing.
All right,
Stop
you're not
catching.
fishing for those yellowtails anymore. You're fishing for something else.
That's right. Good job, bub. What do you think, Bree?
Well, I'm thinking like that was some good tips right there, but we're focusing our yellowtail efforts in the southern end of the Alta Equipment East region, where there's plenty of action, either bringing the fish to you or bringing your baits to them. Captain Mike Holliday, please elaborate for us.
Yeah, Bree, there's really two techniques for yellowtail in my region. You can anchor up and chum the fish to you, or you can drift and bring your baits to the fish. The best fishing in my region is going to be in 50 to 90 feet of water over natural reef, but you'll find them on, wrecks like the Halsey wreck, all the way south of Fort Pierce, all the way down to the 70-foot ledge off Delray Beach. And if chumming's your game, you want to anchor up, get the chum going. It'll take 20 or 30 minutes to get the fish close to the boat. Then you can drop back a small chunk of ballyhoo or bonita on a 132-ounce jig. And I like 10-pound fluorocarbon. Seems to work really well. Fish don't see it as well as they do mono. If you're drifting, a standard 2-hook chicken rig with squid or a small pilchard on it, that's going to work really well. And the average yellowtail in my region is really, like around a pound. Good ones, maybe 3 pounds. We don't really see a lot of those 5-pounders. I do have a cool photo from Captain Charlie Stuve of a nice yellowtail they got the other day. They got that 90 feet of water off the Juneau Pier on a piece of squid on a chicken rig.
Nice.
The other bite we got going, the blackfin tuna bite, it's picking up. Some larger fish are moving into the area. The bite's been centered around that 200 to 400 foot depths, really like off the breakers, out off Push Button Hill and the St. Lucie humps. The blackfins are most aggressive in low light, so the best action's at dawn and dusk and during those overcast skies. They go deeper as the sun gets high in the sky, so you want to target them in the deeper ways, in that deeper water by getting your baits down, adding a weight to it, or using jigging spoons. If you mark them under the boat, drop a jigging spoon, you can do pretty well. Target the tuna by drifting and putting up a kite with sardines or thread fins. You can even use this time of year finger mullet, just cast net a bunch of them. You can even chum with those. You can chum with pilchards. They'll bring more fish to the surface and closer to the boat. A lot of boats are trolling small feathers or cedar plugs right now, just putting them way out behind the boat because blackfins tend to be boat shy. Average blackfin in my region is going to be anywhere from like 8 to 20 pounds. I got a photo from Captain Rich Du Bois on the Salty Days charter boat. He sent me this shot of some nice blackfins that they got off Push Button Hill. They were trolling feathers and also drifting with jigging spoons. They also released a sail that day.
All right, let's go inshore.
Yeah, during last weekend's full moon, the nighttime tarpon bite was insane around the inlets and Southbridge, Turning Basin and Fort Pierce. That area had a lot of fish on it. The Roosevelt Bridge and Stewart had a lot of fish on it. We're seeing a lot of mullet pushing inshore and on the beaches. There's a little swell out there. Look for those deep water ambush points that really congregate the tarpon over the next week or so. Pick an inlet. The dawn and dusk push a mullet into the inlets. Has a tarpon doing cartwheels in those baitfish schools. And then during the daytime, places like the Moorings Channel and Vero Beach, Big Mud Creek, the Crossroads in Stewart, and the Boy Scout camp up in Waxahachie. Those areas will all have fish. And you target them with mullet, ideally like an 8 to 14 inch bait. You can fish them live on the surface or dead on the bottom. Put them out on 60-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 7/0 circle hook. You can also, if you got rolling fish around the boat, like that randomly rolling fish, you see one roll, you take a saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad and throw that to the rolling fish. On the surf, plugs, spoons, and live mullet of money there. Average fish right now, 30 to 80 pounds. And I got a photo of Andrew and Hank. They caught and released this nice tarpon with me the other day out on the beach, and that fish ate a live mullet. The other bite, if you're looking to catch a snook over 40 inches, September is by far the best month. A lot of the big fish are feeding hard on the first of the mullet schools, pushing through the area. A lot of the bigger mullet that are coming through. The beach bite has been kind of okay. Hope Sound, Jensen Beach, and Fort Pierce Inlet's had an okay beach bite. But the seawall and bridge bites are really what's producing fish, particularly at night. On the beaches, a live finger mullet swimming plug or a black shad-colored 4 or 5 inch sea shad. Those are going to be your top baits. The seawall bites are best at dawn and dusk, throwing topwater plugs or Artemis shads. and then, go into a live mullet during the middle of the day. And then on the bridges, you want to work swimming plugs, big jigs, and live mullet on the shadow lines. Right now, the average snook is pretty big. Most of them are over slot, 10 to 20 pounds. And I have a photo from Captain Chris Britton of Port St. Lucie. He sent me this nice shot of a snook this family caught on a live finger mullet when they were out with him.
Nice. All right. Every week we got to have a bass report. What do you got for us this week, Bub?
Yeah, the midday rains we've had this week have helped lower the water temperatures on the Lake Kissimmee and Toho chain. But we're still kind of in that summer pattern where the best action is at dawn, which is the coolest point of the day. I was talking to Captain Steve Nymiller of BassOnline.com. He said the best action is coming around the hydrilla patches that are out in open water, but there's also a good shad bite right at dawn, throwing topwater plugs, chatterbaits, and bass assassin shads, or then working the eelgrass shorelines with frogs, or even crawling in an unweighted June bug colored RSP worm through the grass. The best action seems to be on the overcast morning, especially if there's a little bit of wind, which seems to push the bait up against the grass lines. And then as the sun heats up, it's kind of time to throw, wacky rig KO assassin into the holes in the hydrilla, or slow troll a live shiner around the edge of the hydrilla. Right now, it's a 20 fish morning on Kissimmee and also on Toho. Average bass is like 1 to 4 pounds.
Well, Mike, you did a great job tonight. We appreciate all your hard work. Looking good. Got your goatee growing back. Looking good. Appreciate the Star Bright hat. You're on fire tonight. All right, bub. We'll talk to you next week. The T&H Marine hotspots are up from the East region. He says inshore, snook and tarpon in the Fort Pierce Turning Basin at night. Use live mullet, swimming plugs, or flare hog jig. And then offshore, Dawn Wahoo and 120 to 220 feet of water off Sloan's Curve, high-speed trolling with a red and black Wahoo Magneto.
Are you gonna bring yours back, the little goatee right here?
I don't
it's
think so.
It's looking pretty good. It's like wintry,
what do you think?
fall. I think you should.
I think I may go big, thick, nasty mustache.
Big, nasty mustache.
Come on.
Okay. If you want all the artificial tips, tricks, and a mustache, join Captain Rick Murphy and Captain Ronnie Houston for the Berkeley Artificial Lure Seminar at Sunshine Ace Hardware in Bonita Springs, September 25th from 5:30 to 8. If I know Rick, he's going to have some things to give away.
Lots. We're giving away the farm.
The farm.
The Berkeley farm.
Okay.
Come on.
And some good tips, I'm sure.
All right.
And next on deck are the Jeffs. We're seeing what your weekend on the West Coast is holding with Captain Jeff Page in the Star Charn Central West region, and then Captain Jeff Hagman in the Northwest region. He's got Yellowtail and more for you. Plus, we're having a little sit down with Rick and artist Dennis Friel. So keep freelancing, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Polarized Fishing Sunglasses, Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
Well, as you can see, I'm with my good buddy Dennis Friel. You know what, Dennis? This is a beautiful piece of artwork, an original. Mm-hmm. And what you've done is you've been so gracious to donate it to the CCA Homestead Banquet, which is the first Thursday in April, which will be April 3rd or 4th in 2026. You know, the one thing, I love the fact that you picked the redfish, because certainly the redfish and CCA have a giant love affair from many, many, many years. But tell us a little bit about what inspired you here.
Well, what really inspired me was the recent redfish releases that we did. And I mean, that one release, 40,000 in one shot. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, 50,000.
Yeah, was it 50? I'm sorry,
50.
I thought it was 40.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. And that was really inspiring to me, what the CCA does for our natural resources and our estuaries, and what you do in collaboration with them, with conservation. What we do. Right. That's correct. In collaboration with the CCA, because that's an organization that really does make a difference. That's what inspired us.
So guys, here's one of the things that's really cool about this. This original artwork, we're going to promote it throughout the next 6 months, and then we're going to auction it off at that banquet. More importantly, we're also going to have all the cups and all the t-shirts will have this artwork on the back as well. And then a lot of Dennis's other art that we have will be part of our corporate sponsorship, where the tables may have an offshore species and not necessarily this. So we're really grateful for everything that you do. If guys want to see a little bit more about your artwork, where are we going to send them? What website you want to send them to, Bub?
Oh, sure. They could just head over to our studio website, connectedbywater.com.
All right, man. Keep up the good work. We're going to come back and talk to him a little bit more. You got about an hour left, so get busy.
And it's
Thanks, Rick.
already
Good job.
transformed so much from where I'm sitting. All right, if you're yellowtailing in the Star-Trek Central West region, the proof is in the pudding. So let's get the ingredients from Captain Jeff Page. Hello, Jeffrey.
I think all the captains have the ingredients for snapper chum, and you know, they do mix it up different. You'll hear about oatmeal and Menhaden oil, but in the Star-Trek Central West region, the one thing that they do agree on is that you got to have the chum to bring up those yellowtails up off that structure off the bottom, because you've got to use such light line to get that hook in their mouth, because they're smart just like all the other snappers. And Captain Chris Seeger of Tight Lines and Captain Jason Stock, they both used to use light and still use light leader as possible, like 20-pound fluorocarbon, and in a hook size like a 1 to a 1/0 sometimes. And sometimes you even got to hide that hook inside a cut piece of pilchard. That's why it's always good to have a live well full of shiners, pilchards, and you can cut them, scissor them up too as well. And it's tough to beat on the dinner plate, like Rick Murphy always says. And my photo tonight of the Yellowtail is of a captain that's left us, but he'll always be in our hearts, Captain Jason Stock, with a really nice flag Yellowtail.
Oh,
All right, man.
peace.
What else?
Gag grouper. It's still open for the recreational angler, Rick, and the weather has been good. Guys are being able to get out to their ledges, their springs, to their deeper stuff, like 150, 200 feet. And they're picking up an occasional true black grouper as well, along with Goliaths and some of the other big bottom feeders. But live pinfish, live magnum-sized pilchards, or big thread fins have been the bait of choice. But it's always a good idea, like I say all the time, make sure you have a couple boxes of frozen sardines, because they'll always come through in a pinch. Standard bottom rig or a knocker rig we were talking about earlier today, Rick, 3 to 4 ounces of lead, depending on your current and your depth. And I like those 7.0, 8.0 Trocor extra strong circle hooks. And you can, like I said, you can even bump up to an 8 or a 9.0 for those big baits. And don't forget trolling lip plugs as well, if the area of structure is big enough that, you know, plugs that'll get down 20, 25 feet. And the bucktail jig is an overlooked grouper tool that some of the older guys use, but I think that Berkeley Gulp Nemesis prawn, Rick, on that back as an attractor, scent and wiggle is going to help that old bucktail jig. And my gag photo tonight, that's Canyon Caps with a stud shallow water gag he got in like 12 feet of water with his dad, Stacy Caps of Tight Lines.
Nice. All right, let's go inshore.
Redfish, isn't it funny, Rick? September rolls around and that redfish orange ball just start rolling in all directions. I've heard guys catching them out by Egmont Pass, and they're in the bays now, and on these lower stages of the tide, which we're having this week right around midday, the fish are falling off the flats, falling off the oyster bars, and they're laying out there in that 4 and 5 feet of water. If it's windy, you're not going to bump them up. But they're there, and if you just put the time in, you'll get them. Live bait helps. I like a pinfish under a cork this time of year, maybe 3 feet a leader from the cork down to the hook. And some of the good areas are up off Rattlesnake Key, Emerson Point, mouth of the Manatee River, Long Bar Point, and then down in Charlotte Harbor around the Bull Bay and Turtle Bay bars. Those are always great school redfish holes. Live pinfish under a cork, 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce gold weedless spoon will work good. Captain Brett Norris, Captain Larry Maroney been doing real well around Fort DeSoto and the mouth of the Manatee River. And it's tough to beat that large size Sabile in the pearl white pattern, because you can throw it a long way, and it's got heavy duty hardware. My photo tonight with my wife, Captain Lady Di, Diane Page, with a brand new Fiffer hat on, showing off her redfish.
That's right.
Looking good.
And a pretty smile. Way to go, Di. What do you got? What else quickly?
Small tarpons, mouth of all the creeks, Rick. From Manatee River all the way down to Philippi Creek and North and South Creek down by Blackburn Point Bridge. Early morning fish are in there feeding on the glass minnows, and you can throw sabiles, you can throw flies, you can put a small pilchard on a light leader and throw it in there. And the picture tonight is a release of one of those small tarpons in the creek mouth from Kevin Wetzel.
That's a beautiful picture. Thank you so much for all the pictures this week, Paige. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says inshore, redfish on the lower stages of the tide, Long Bar in Sarasota Bay, the mouth of the Manatee River, and Turtle Bay Bar in Charlotte Harbor is where they're going to live. Live pinfish under a cork or a 1/4 ounce gold Johnson weedless spoon is best. And then offshore, quality gag groupers holding on the ledges in the hard bottom areas in 90 to 150 feet of water. Live pinfish or magnum sized pilchards are your best bait on a standard bottom rig.
Okay, well, since we're talking about Jeff Page, coming up September 27th, get ready to fish for a cause from any state for the Red Trout Go Live tournament, a special Facebook Live event benefiting the treatment and recovery of our Central West region captain, Jeff Page. Join anglers from all over the country and compete for the largest redfish up to 9 pounds and the single heaviest trout, all for a great cause and a legendary captain. Scan that QR code on your screen for more info, to donate and or to get registered. And if you're going to be in the Siesta Key region Friday, September 26th and Saturday, September 27th, come join us for the kickoff party and after party at the daiquiri deck. Rick, Dave, Ridge, Jeff, and myself will be there with raffles, giveaways, drink specials, autographs, and 10% of all proceeds will be donated to Jeff Page. So it's a good time for a good cause.
10% of the proceeds from daiquiri deck. How
Correct.
crazy is that?
Correct. Awesome. So come party with us for a cause. All right, let's head into the Northwest region and get some Yellowtail yum-yums on the table for you with Captain Jeff Hageman. Hey, Hag.
How you doing? If anybody'd like to fish that, I'd like to donate a day to do that. If any clients want to go out and do that, my day's donated. You enter Page's thing, and I will fish you.
All right.
Absolutely for no cost. Yellowtail snapper, one of my favorite to eat. Not much better out there than a whole fried yellowtail snapper. We have some great yellowtail snapper fishery in our area. The southern half of the region is best, depths from anywhere from 80 to 120 feet. The major structures like wrecks, pipelines, big rock piles, hard bottom will all hold these fish. All the techniques you've been hearing about in the south of the region work up here really well. Anchoring up tight a structure, hard bottom chumming, lots of chum bag, rolled oats. We use a little bit of that dry chum mix you'd use to catch sardines mixed in our oats, and a little bit of cut sardines mixed in there as well. Get your chum slick going out behind the water in the water column, get them coming up, get it easier to catch, keep them away from the Goliath groupers, the barracudas, and the sharks, and give you a better chance of getting them to the boat. Most of our fish are a little bit bigger. That 1.5 to 3 pounds is our average size, with some quite a bit bigger fish. 10 to 12 pound mono, smallest hook you can get away with, tipped with a little bit of shrimp or a cut sardine, free lined in the tide, we'll catch them. Staying offshore, Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete reports the gag grouper bites doing really well right now, catching them anywhere from 170 to 250 feet. He's using anywhere from 80 to 100 pound fluorocarbon leader, 8 to 10 ounces of lead depending on the current, and a 6 to 8 aught hook, finding them on hard bottom ledges and using really big pinfish for bait. The bigger the bait, the better. Moving on the inshore of that, still staying offshore, Captain Mike Manning out of Bayport reports shallow water grouper bites been pretty good right now. With the long closure we had the past couple of years, he's been fishing in that 9 to 11 feet of water off of Bayport. They're eating anything from pinfish to whitebait, and the bigger fish actually came off of diving plugs, casted and retrieved over those over those rock piles out there. I got a couple great gag photos. A giant one from Captain Rob.
Nice.
Another shallow water grouper from Captain Mike with his little nephews.
Attaboy. All right. What else you got for us, bub?
Moving on inshore, Captain Jim Pollard of Big Daddy Sport Fishing reported some great redfish bite in Tampa Bay right now. Captain Jim is finding his redfish moving really slowly along the mangrove tree lines with his trolling motor, looking for pushes ahead of the boat. He's schooling redfish right now. Moving slow has been the key. The darker water is kind of hiding them, so you want to sneak up on these fish, Fish your way slowly ahead as you're going down these tree lines. Targeting redfish with a variety of baits right now, live pilchards, cut bait, cut ladyfish, cut mullet works really good. 25-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 3/0 trocar circle hook is his setup. And I've got a photo here of a great Tampa Bay redfish from Captain Jim.
Nice. All right, what else you got?
Moving on up the coast, Jimmy Huddleston out of Arizona reports the beach bite right now and the outer islands. Good number of snook are post-spawn and those feeding on these fish out right now on the fry baits and are roaming that swash channel. A nose hook, greenback, or sardine has been his top choice in catching these fish in these areas. Most of the fish are starting to make their transition, so look for them around the spoil islands, the causeways, and those deeper edges that the snook could be hanging on right now as they're working their way to their wintertime haunts.
All right, Bub, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Discover Crystal River hotspots from the Northwest region. Inshore, he says the redfish on the top of the tide, cut ladyfish, live sardines, pinfish have been working well on a 4/0 trocar circle hook and 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. Offshore, the scamp grouper bite has been consistent in 180 to 250 feet of water over the rock piles and ledges. Pinfish on the standard bottom rig or butterfly jigs have been the go-to bait.
All right, well, it's time to get ready for Yamaha's Golden Opportunity Finance offer from now until September 30th, 2025. Purchase a new eligible Yamaha V6 4.2 liter, 225, 250, or 300 to get rates as low as 0% for 12 months, then 15.99 to 20.99% APR thereafter when purchased on a Yamaha credit card. Visit YamahaOutboards.com for complete details. Coming up, we're checking in with the Northwest region, and Dave Farrell is at the CCA workbench for Taco Marine new products with our friend from Marquesa Marine. Then Tommy Derringer from the Northeast region is talking all things yellowtail snapper for your weekend fishing report. So stick around, Dennis, it's looking great.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
Enjoy the water and your single-engine boat even more with the incredible control of Helmmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. Helmmaster EX packs the power of world-class control and automation that is changing the single and multi-engine boating experience forever. See Helmmaster EX in action at a Yamaha outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
Salt's your enemy.
Salt vapor goes everywhere. It does not rinse off once it's been crystallized on a boat. It has to be manually or chemically removed.
It's called Salt Off.
Salt Off.
Salt Off. Our powerful formula dissolves salt crystals on contact, making it the perfect solution to rinse or dunk salty gear.
The Salt Off applicator makes flushing your engine easy, ensuring maximum performance and service life. This Starbright season, remember to get your salt off.
Heroes on the Water is a wellness program designed to support veterans, first responders, and their families through the transformative power of kayak fishing. Our program provides heroes with a way to improve their lives, enhance their family relationships, and impact their community in a healthy and lasting way. And we cannot do it without you. With your support, we can ensure a brighter, better tomorrow for our heroes. At Heroes on the Water, we paddle, fish, heal.
Well, it's time to troll the edge here with Taco Marine. And you know what? We're here at the CCA workbench. We got my good buddy Hunter from Marquesas Marine. And you know what, Hunter, let's just talk about the new rave and push poles is your small diameter pole. Let's tell everybody about
That's
it.
right. So this is our new small diameter push pole. It's extremely light, it's extremely stiff, and it's very hard to break.
So why do we want to have a small diameter pole compared to what we've had for all these years?
So this pole is 1 1/4 inch outside diameter versus a standard pole that's 1 3/8 inch, and that just gives you a more comfortable feel in hand. After a long day on the water, your hands won't ache, you won't be as tired, and you can pole for a long time with it.
You know what, you're spot on with why that works. So let's talk a little bit about the foot. Tell me a little bit about it.
So this foot has a lot of surface area on this side. It's designed to push against the mud, but it cuts its way out. It's very quiet when it enters and exits the water, and it works really well in soft bottom.
Right. All right. So what about the point? I see that we have interchangeable points here.
That's right. So we have 4 different points for different poling environments. What you have there would be good for oceanside and the Keys, really smooth bottom. There's different points for maybe some sand bottom.
Right.
In all sorts of environments.
And so when this wears out, then we can call up and buy another point from you. What size lengths do we have?
They come in any length from 16 to 24 feet.
All right, and then you make 2 other poles, which we don't really need to get into, but you also make poling platforms. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. So this is our Pro Wide carbon fiber casting platform. We have 6 different sizes of casting platforms with 5 different leg heights.
So explain that, 5 different leg heights. So if it's rough, you don't want to be real high, like if we're tarpon fishing.
That's right.
But you're telling me that I can unscrew those legs and buy another set of legs from you and now all of a sudden be a tall guy?
That's right, and you can do it on the water.
I love that. All right, so where do we go, Hunter, to find out more about your products?
You can learn more at marquesamarine.com.
You did a wonderful job. Thank you so much for giving us that time. You know what, Dave, what else are we going to talk about here at the workbench?
Well, first off there, we're going to start with the AFTCO Expedition duffel bag. Built for they say it's built for the boat life and designed for travel. So you can take that as your go-to gear hauler to go anywhere you want to go. It's got a 55-liter capacity, and so it's ideal for a day trip or an overnight trip. It's made from rugged 840 D ballistic nylon with a polyurethane backing for water resistance and more durability. It's got that top clamshell opening with the internal dividers and pockets inside, as well as a place in the back where you can unzip and bring out some backpack and turn it into a backpack if you want to.
So we can put all kinds of stuff in here?
The lower bag actually is separated from the top one, so you can have a place to put your wet gear or your dirty clothes.
Or your bad shoes.
Exactly.
Perfect for you.
Exactly. Multiple grab handles and a removable crossbody shoulder strap inside as well.
I like it.
So you can either put it on your back or crossways. It's just, AFTCO makes great stuff, and they make great travel stuff too. So.
And where are we going to find it, Dave?
AFTCO.com to get that.
All right. Tell me about this. These guys are off the chain.
These are pretty neat. These are the Angler Company, Angler Co. Imposter jigs. They come in different flavors there. We got pinfish, vermilion snapper, and the lane snapper. Just beautiful jigs, and they're different in the fact that they're that short, fat body, shaped just like a pinfish,
right? Or
any other little bait fish, and that's what makes them different from regular slow pitch jigs. And hyper realistic jig is designed to mimic one of the most abundant forage species in the world, and that's the pinfish. And what makes this one a little different is you attach it to the back end. It's weighted to the front. So it just gives a really good flutter going down and back up when you attach that attachment to the back, back solid ring there.
That's really cool, dude.
Yeah, they look so much like a freaking little pinfish or something. It's amazing.
All right, we got about 25 seconds to talk about this.
AnglerCo.com. Next, this is the Squadron 3 inshore spinning rod. That's the medium 7-foot. It's engineered to be a versatile inshore rod at a fairly affordable price. It's built with durability in mind. It's got the Duralast guides on it, which are great because they don't pop out. There's nothing to pop out. They're solid guides. Just
Very
really light, good parabolic blend. It's made from a graphite blend inside. It also has a graphite reel seat. Comes with premium cork grips on some. Some of them have EVA.
And where do we go to find it?
Penfishing.com to get the Squadron 3
All
inshore
right, I
spinning
like
rod.
it.
Rick's keeping that backpack on all night.
He's taking it.
He's
I'm
taking
packing.
it home.
I'm
All
packing.
right.
Y'all
Not
be
if I can
careful.
get to it
Put a lot of
first, all
shotgun
right?
shells in that thing.
The Northeast region
Gonna
may
need
not be the #1 Yellowtail destination, but you should see the ones those lucky few catch with Captain Tommy Derringer. Hi, Tommy.
Hey, Bree, you're right. You know, we don't see a whole lot of those yellowtail snappers up here, but not as many, at least, as we see in the southern regions. But the ones we do catch are usually some big ones, real big ones. In fact, most of those yellowtails are what I'd call lunkers. I mean, they're pushing like 8 pounds, some of them. They're really big.
Wow.
Most of those yellowtails are caught during the cooler months, but they can be caught year-round. Usually they're caught while fishing for our other more popular snapper species here in the region, which would be like the mangrove snapper. And right now, even though we're towards the end of the mangrove spawning season and the ocean has been really rough here lately, we do have a good mangrove and a decent mutton snapper bite happening in the region. And there's been a few big yellowtails in the mix. I spoke to a couple of our snapper experts. They've been chumming up those mangoes when they can get out there in the typical 120 to 140 foot depths. And there's also some of those mutton snappers in there. Those muttons are more on the bottom, and they do tend to stay a little bit more off the structure. So if you find some good bottom out there, don't be afraid to look around a little bit away from the structure, and you might find you have a good chance of marking some muttons and finding them that way. Coming off the full moon, the snappers should be grouped up. But like I said before, the mangoes overall are slowing down a little bit from earlier in the summer. But that being said, there's still some big ones hanging out. And I do get those reports of the occasional big yellowtail snapper mixed in there. So if you give it a go, you might just get lucky and hook into one of those big yellowtails. Now, also offshore, you know, like I said, there really hasn't been a whole lot of offshore fishing lately. The ocean has been a little rough, to say the least. But I did speak to Captain Jimmy Laidler. He tells me when he's been able to get out there, they've been doing some sword fishing. And Captain Jimmy said this time of year, especially around the moons, the full and the new moons, those swordfish are going to get fired up. Jimmy said he's mostly been fishing at night, and he's in about 12 to 1,400 feet of water. And he said he's going to start to the south, typically, and then drift his way north through the region using multiple baits at varying depths. There's not a ton of anglers doing the swordfish thing, but you know what? If you've ever wanted to get one, give Captain Jimmy and his crew a call. They will definitely put you on them. I've seen a bunch of pictures from those guys over the last couple of years. And speaking of that, I got a photo that Captain Jimmy Laidler sent me. This is a picture of a nice swordfish that they caught recently aboard the Legend out of St. Augustine.
Nice.
Now, moving inshore, you know, I'm still all about the redfish. I'm always about the redfish. Who are we kidding? But this week, it's still been good. We've had some huge flood tides this week, and the redfish have been up in the grass, tailing. They've been slurping the crabs off the grass. You know, we have some more big tides this weekend. So if you want to see some tailing redfish, it's time to get out there and take a look for them. It's some of my favorite fishing. Some of my favorite time of year to get out there because the weather's a little cooler too. My go-to rig right now in the grass, or the grass bass as we call them this time of year, is almost always going to be the Saltwater Assassin Elite Shiner rigged on a Saltwater Assassin weedless hook. That Elite Shiner, you know, it's perfect for the grass. It has that small little hook slot on the top of the bait, and that allows the hook to lay down and stay completely weedless, which makes a huge difference on getting the bait through the grass. Any color will work. I talk about the Mama's 14K, which is my go-to all the time just about. But, you know, sometimes when I'm in the grass, I like to use a color that I can see so I know where my client's lure is in relation to the fish. It can help you because sometimes you lose the sight of where your lure is. Something like white or pink or chartreuse, something bright that makes seeing the lure easier as it goes through the grass, that can help out a lot. Just remember to make a long cast past the redfish, slowly reel it up, drop it in front of them, and just give it a little wiggle jiggle there, and they will eat the heck out of it right now. They've been fired up. And I got another picture here. The water is super dark right now with all the rain we've had, and the reds are as pretty as I've ever seen them. This is my man Tommy Ellis with a pumpkin redfish that he caught with me in the grass last week.
Nice work there, Tommy. Tell me about the tarpon.
Yeah, man, the tarpon, they've been around this week. You know, it's been a little hit or miss, but they definitely have been around. The mullet are showing up, and we've got a perfect tide to target them this weekend. Those mullet are around, and on that morning incoming tide, those mullet will get pushed in from the beach through the inlets. It's somewhat easy to find those tarpon at the inlets. Just look for the busting fish in the pods of mullet. We've been doing well tossing a white saltwater assassin jerkbait rigged on a big swim bait hook. You can just wait for busting or rolling fish and get that rig in front of them as quick as you can. Get it out there a little past and in front of them, jig it a couple times and hold on. You can also rig a live mullet on a circle hook and either free line or float that mullet around the bait pods as well. And I've got one last picture from my buddy Captain Rob Bennett. He sent me this picture of his happy client, Trip Barber, with a nice inlet caught tarpon from last week.
All right, Tommy, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. He says inshore the tarpon are at the inlets on the incoming tide, and then redfish once the tide gets up in the flooded grass. And then offshore, swordfish in 1,200 to 1,400 feet of water. And guess what? Certainly use squid, dolphin bellies, whatever it is you want to do. They like it stinky, so go catch you a big swordfish.
They like it stinky. I'm just mesmerized over here trying to stay focused, but I'm watching Dennis paint. Woo, you're gonna see it later. We're seeing what the Central East region uses to get the mixed bag of snappers to the boat, and then taking a trip to the Panhandle region where Pat Deneen is waiting in the wings. But remember, if you're hooked on fishing in Florida, then don't miss a thing. Swing by our website, hit that like button on Facebook, reel us in on X and Instagram, and cast on over to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, for fresh fishing adventures, reports, and more. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Startron. Start, run, and store with Startron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Hey guys, you know what? We've been talking about the Starbright ceramic wax and seal for over a year now. They've come out with it, but you know what? I thought it would be really cool to show you guys really how easy it is to apply. So you don't need that many things. The one thing that you're gonna need is you're gonna need to start off with a clean boat. The second thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that the boat is dry. After that, it's really simple. We're going to get our ceramic wax and seal, and we're simply just going to apply it in small areas. This is really, really critical in the way this product works, guys. The reason why you only want to do a small area is that you don't want to let the product dry. It's really important. So you work in 2 to 3 foot areas. That way it doesn't dry. We're gonna wipe it on in a circular motion, and before it dries, I'm gonna use a clean cloth and we're gonna wipe it off. Let it sit for maybe an hour or so as you do the whole boat, and then come back and re-wipe the boat one more time. This will allow you to get any of that hazy residue off. I wanna tell you, it will change your life. More importantly, it helps with oxidation, it helps with dirt and grease, keeps your boat cleaner right from the very beginning. And you know what? It really works well when you match it up with the ceramic wash. So use the wash after you've sealed your boat. That way there's no harsh chemicals in some soap that would potentially break this down or even potentially remove it. If you have any questions about any cleaning products, you certainly can go to starbright.com and check out all the cool stuff they have to make sure you keep your boat in working order. You know, Bree, there's a lot of direction there, and the cool part about it is if you're not sure what I described or said, when you buy one of these, you can go to any of your local retailers and buy it. They got all the directions
And
right
it's not
here
that
on
much.
the back.
You made it sound like a lot, but
It's so easy.
It's fine.
It's the easiest product I've ever worked with when it comes to waxing your boat.
Right.
Because it easy on, easy off, don't let it dry.
Wax on, wax off, don't
Yeah.
let it dry.
Exactly.
Call Rick if you have issues. All right,
Exactly.
we're chumming for your dinner in the Central East region with Captain Jim Ross, but very carefully. Thanks for helping me out last week, Jim. What's going on?
Oh, it was my pleasure. I'm glad that we got a chance to see each other again and do the show. Had a big time and really enjoyed it. But I tell you, guys and gals that get out here in the Central East region are going to enjoy the time of year that we're coming into now, because this is the time of year that we actually do start to catch some more yellowtail snapper. We're not really known as a yellowtail area, and it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about this. I don't know if it's because of the bottom structure. I don't know if it's because of the relationship to the currents, like the inshore flowing current or the offshore flowing current, like the Gulf Stream. But it's just one of those regions that, or one of those fish that we just don't see a lot of in this region, except when we're in the winter time and fall months. And so, guys and gals, if you're going to get out there, you're basically going to treat these fish just like you would treat any mangrove snapper. You're going to try and chum them up. And the yellowtails will get in with the mangroves, it seems like, this time of the year. You want to cut the chunk with chunk baits like sardines and menhaden and herring. If you're chumming like you do down in the Keys with oats and that sort of thing, sometimes that will work. But we have a real shark problem here. So anything you can do not to chum sharks to the back of the reef is a good thing. So a typical chum bag really isn't how you want to go about doing it in this region. Now, a good size reel is a 55 to 6500 size pin. The slammer is a really good one because it's got a good drag system on it. The 30 to 40 pound braid on a Fenwick rod, capable of handling basically 15 to 40 pound lines. And this is a little heavier than the way you would fish for them, like if you're fishing down in the Keys. And you can go a little heavier on your leader too. You can go into some 25 or 30 pound leader, where down in the Keys, you're probably only using 10 or 12 pound. But these fish, like I said, they mix in with the mangrove snapper. The water's a little dirtier. They're not as picky or as fussy as some of those fish that are a little bit farther south. So you can get out there and you can do this, and you can catch those 3 to 5 pounders right along with those 3 to 5 pound and up to 10 pound mangrove snapper this time of the year. Now, my next species is tarpon. The mullet run has been pretty good. It's been spotty, 1 or 2 spots along the Space Coast. But I'll tell you, most of the places that you get along the beaches, the tarpon are there eating on the mullet, and that's a good thing. It's only going to increase, and you're going to see tarpon crashing through these bait pods in the surf over the next couple of weeks. But the main thing you want to do is just run up and down the beach, look for these fish getting blown up, these bait fish getting blown up, because that's where the tarpon are at. And it's real easy to catch them. You can either free line them on a bear hook, or you can use a jig head, or even a knocker rig at times, especially if the fish get really shallow. They tend to hit a knocker rig really well just on the outside of the surf break. Or you can throw a suspending plug, a lip plug, or an Artemis 5-inch sea shad. Those artificials work really well. Rick and I had a chance to cast some of those plugs when we did a show here recently, and had a lot of fun doing that. Most of our tarpon are 50 to 80 pounds, and I've got 2 pictures here. One is from Captain David Glasser, and this is a fish that they landed the other day in South Cocoa Beach. And then the other one is of Charlie Roop, and he was on my boat with me on my skeeter, and we were catching these little guys, and we had a couple of them that day, so that was a lot of fun.
Looks like it. All right, let's go inshore.
Swinging inshore, the redfish bite is getting pretty good. The guys, you can catch them along the beaches under those mullet pods. But, in the south end of Mesquite Lagoon, I was talking with Captain Troy Perez, and Troy was saying that he's using fresh cut fingerling mullet on a knocker rig. And if he can find pinfish, he likes them even better. He says the pinfish are working better than the finger mullet. But any fresh cut bait will typically work. You simply throw them out into the sand holes. Most of our redfish are 22 to 28 inches right now. Some of those fish are pushing up into the 40-inch range, though. So just be careful when you're working those potholes. That you don't slide into those areas. Be real quiet. Don't spook those fish. And I've got a nice picture here of one that Tom Fritchek caught with me the other day, and a couple of double spots on the back of that one. I thought, double spots always makes an angler smile.
20 seconds left, Jimmy. Go.
Snook bite's been solid at all the inlets and up and down the beaches. The guys are catching them first thing in the morning on lip diving plugs from Melbourne Beach all the way down to Vero. Right now, like I said, the inlets are good too. Live baits tend to be working better at the inlets. Check those jetties, especially on the incoming tides. And I've got a picture here of a nice beach snook that we landed the other day.
All right, good job. Thank you for filling in for me last week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Central East region. Jimmy says that the coastal mullet run is in full swing from Ponce Inlet to Sebastian Inlet. The species are included bluefish, tarpon, shark, snook, redfish, and more. Use live finger mullet on a jig head or a knocker rig for fish to 18 inches to 80 pounds. And then offshore, troll naked, chin-weighted ballyhoo near rips and temperature breaks in 150 to 250 foot depths. troll naked, does that mean we're naked?
I don't know.
I don't
All right, there's some fun inshore and offshore agendas Captain Pat Deneen has planned for you in the Panhandle region.
Come on.
So let's find out what it is. Hi, Pat.
I bet he knows
Go.
about
Hey,
trolling
Bree,
naked.
I tell you what, yellowtails are not a player up here in the Panhandle. I mean, they are occasionally caught as our mud snappers, but they're not something that we can target. But I tell you what, we are catching right now is gag groupers. They've been closed for some time now, but they open for harvest at the beginning of the month, and they're being caught in really good numbers on limestone ledges and wrecks throughout the Panhandle Gulf waters. Dive buddies are seeing them pretty much on all the spots they are hitting in 65-plus feet of water, and also reporting them on the Destin Bridge and jetties. And since they've been closed, they've kind of lost their fear divers, which is helping those guys out quite a bit. But the best catches, and certainly the bigger fish, are coming from deeper water, 150-plus feet of water, 150-plus feet. Natural bottom structure to the east and off of Gulf County has been particularly good, as has the break west of the nipple in 200 to 300 feet of water. You want to fish live or dead baits close to the bottom on heavy enough tackle to turn the fish and get it coming up away from its home before it can find its way back to its home. Pinfish are great grouper baits, as are bonita strips and octopus. And in addition to groupers, there's other bottom fish being caught. There's a photo there of a big red snapper, 34-inch red snapper caught by Bonnie Lander at the Baker. She landed that fish 45 miles out of Destin, pass fishing with Steve Brandt. Those bottom bumpers are having a bonus day right now. And it's a great time to be out there bottom bumping because so many species are open for harvest right now, including the amberjacks. They're pretty numerous on the high relief ledges and the bigger wrecks, including many of the nearshore barges and tugboats where you typically find short jacks. But some keepers have moved in shallow recently. Live baits are king for the better jacks. The more frisky and active the bait, the better. Blue runners are bait of choice, fished off a slip sinker rig with plenty of leader. Water depth and current are going to dictate how much lead to use, and typically you want your bait mid-water or deeper. Basically, you want to fish your bait at the depth that you're marking the jacks. The exception is going to be on those shallower wrecks where you can often get them to eat topwater lures or a free line bait, an unweighted bait. The deeper water jacks, they can reach pretty good sizes. Like there's a picture there of Andrew Dover, also known as Grasshopper. Rick, I think you met him years ago with me. That's an 84-pound amberjack. He's caught on his boat in Muscle Memories, fishing natural bottom, well south and a little bit east of Destin. So that was a handful right there.
Our man grew up. Our man grew up.
Yes, he has, Rick. That's for sure. Moving inshore, pilchards are thick, pretty plentiful in all our bays. It's a good time to be bay fishing as well. The pilchards are on the grass flats near the inlets, and big Spanish mackerels are feeding on them. So what you want to do is cast in a well full of baits, anchor up on the nearby flats, edges, and points, especially where you have some moving water, and chum liberally. Fish your baits free line with either nose hooked or belly hook, depending on the current. Rig them on 40-pound fluorocarbon leaders and a long shank J hook. Some guys, they also like to drift the bait back, suspended under a cork. So either way works well. Small twitch baits mimicking the pilchards can also be quite effective. There's also a lot of Spanish being caught off the Gulf piers along the second bar by trolling or casting bubble rigs or gotcha-style metal lures. Like I said, there's plenty of them around, and some pretty good ones like those in the pictures. That young man is MJ Viles. He was fishing with Captain Justin Leake over in Panama City. He's showing off a pair of really nice Spanish mackerel. Pretty happy young man right there.
Yeah, he sure is. Tell me about the snappers.
Yeah, the mangrove snappers, Rick. Finally inshore, those same baits that you're using for pilchard, the same pilchard baits you're using for the Spanish are great for the mangroves. You just bring them over to the bridges, the jetties, or the rock piles near the inlets. This time of year, decent-sized bay mangroves are pretty numerous around these areas, and are a dependable catch if you do it right. Meaning you want to use light leaders, minimal weight, and a small circle hook. Anchor up current of the structure, chum with dead whole pilchards or chunks, and slip a hook bait into the zone. Current is preferred, but you want your chum to be able to sink into the zone where those mangroves are hanging out and not get swept away. So if the current is too much, use enough lead, get your bait down, but stick with that light leader and small hooks. Those mangroves are certainly not as big as the ones you're going to find out in the Gulf, but 10 to 12 inches in the bay, they're pretty typical.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Heroes on the Water hotspots from the Panhandle region. He says, inshore, big redfish and mid-sized tarpon on Mid-Bay Bridge and 3 Mile Bridge, feeding on pilchards and red minnows. Fish small paddle-tail soft baits around those pylons to catch those big redfish and little tarpons. And then offshore, the gag groupers are numerous, open only for a few more days. Find a ledge or a wreck in 80+ feet of water and catch your limit of gags.
Go get them. All right, well, if you're cruising around Florida, do it with a cause and rock the Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Your $25 goes straight to supporting clean water, restoring habitats, protecting marine life, and of course, teaching folks about our coastal environment. Get yours at your local DMV or online at redfishtag.com. And they sure are pretty. Maybe Dennis will have one of his paintings on the license plate one day. We'll have to check on that.
Please.
All right, we're checking in with our last captain in the Phillips Southwest region. So keep those lines out, and we'll be right back with Ronnie Houston. Also, it is not too late to sign up for our live studio audience at Bass Show, September 17th, next week. The last one of the season, so make sure you head to our website and sign up for more details. It's gonna be fun. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips, building the infrastructure that safeguards our future. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's powerful tip: did you know you could run your PowerPole shallow water anchors or change all of your charging priority right from a Garmin Fish Finder? If you're running a Garmin GPS map or Eco Map, you have that ability. But what I like to see is my charge data right on the screen. I have the ability to see my voltages throughout the day, and I could change my priority button by simply pressing my Fish Finder. Another thing I like is I can initiate an emergency start if my big outboard won't start, and I will get that engine started and get back to the dock. I can also run my PowerPole anchors. If you have duals, you can run them both at the same time, or you can lift them independently. To learn more about the PowerPole charge and Garmin integration, go to powerpole.com or the Garmin website. And that's your PowerPole tip of the week.
That's a good tip. All right, the Phillips Southwest region Captain Ronnie Houston is closing us out and sending us into our fun weekend ahead. So Ronnie, give us your best shot.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure representing the Southwest region. You know, fishing for the Yellowtail snapper in the Phillips Southwest region, especially if you're fishing for numbers, it's going to require chumming, and it's relatively simple by stopping by a local tackle shop, picking up some box chum. Targeting structure like wrecks, artificial reefs, and ledges, and what you want to do is you want to try to draw the fish up and away from the structure in a specific part of the water column and not to overfeed them. Now, depending upon where you get them in the water column, you're going to drop back small cut baits and rigs to where they are in the water column. And that could possibly be almost all the way at the top by simply flatlining, or just below or maybe 10 feet below the surface by using 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce jig heads. You might want to use a split shot, or if you're not drawing them up, you might have to drop to the bottom of the structure and knocker rig them or use chicken rigs. So there's a variety of ways to do this. Now, most guys, when they're specifically fishing for yellowtails, they're going to use light tackle, and depending upon the clarity of the water, these fish are leader shy. Might have to use, 15, 20-pound fluoro. If it's after a front or it's after a west wind and the Gulf gets real dirty, you can get up to 30 or 40-pound fluoro. But right now, plenty of yellowtail are being caught in the region, and I got a prime example with Captain Bo Johnson up to the north. He's got a variety of red snappers and a variety of yellowtail. So opportunity is out there as long as we've got good weather right now in the Southwest region.
All right, what else you got, Bubba?
Still on the offshore side is going to be the red snappers. Now, we'll be, we got a couple of shows left, but here's what I want to tell you. Keeping an eye out on the new 2025 regulations for the opportunity up until the end of the year. Still plenty of full reports of 180 feet and beyond, but still I'm getting great reports of the bigger fish out deeper and in numbers. But you can still catch a variety of sizes at the shallower depths of about 180. So the most important thing is just keep an eye on your bottom finder, looking for that bait raised up off the bottom. Some days it can be a little tough. You're going to have a variety of baits. Some days they're on fire for the pinfish and herring live, but then some days they want the cut bait. So when you're dropping out to 160, 180, and 200, just make sure you have a variety of baits when you make the long run and check the weather before you get out. And I've got a picture of a variety of red snappers that were just caught in the Take a Soldier fishing over the weekend. It was a great event. As you can see, plenty of red snappers caught.
Wow.
Now, as we go on the inshore side, the redfish. At the northern end of the region, I'm still getting good reports on higher water along mangrove shorelines and Independent Island in the Pine Island Sound area. The guys are telling me live pinfish, live pilchards, or a variety of cut baits up across the mangroves. And on the lower stages of the tide, you want to concentrate on quarter-ounce to half-ounce gold spoons. You might want to use some Berkeley stick shads. The colors they're telling me are chrome and pilchard to try to match the hatch. To the south, Coon Key to Rabbit Key, your high to mid tides along the outer Gulf Islands, along points with current and mangrove shorelines, relatively the same. Same baits too, the live pilchards, pinfish, and cut baits are working as well. But Berkeley Jaywalker 100s and 120s on those mid tides before that water gets too high. And I got a nice picture of oversized redfish that was recently caught in the same event over the weekend.
Nice. All right.
Our species is going to be the snooks. Now, nighttime snook fishing with the passing of the full moon, you want to concentrate right now along intercoastal docks and seawalls and bridge spans throughout the region. Better fishing seems to be good as long as you got good moving water. Now, to the north, Bull and Turtle Bay on the mid to high tide along mangrove shorelines, simply chumming live pilchards and using live pinfish. But right now, with all the rain we're getting right now, the Everglades backcountry, especially with all the rain, you want to concentrate on feeder creeks, points with current, and areas of shorelines with moderate wind on the shoreline. Also concentrate in areas of wood. Most of the fish right now being caught right now on something similar or Berkeley drift walkers. You can use the Jaywalkers. Sometimes they're missing the top waters, go with the Berkeley Jukes or a variety of soft plastic paddle tails on the jig head. And I got another nice picture of an oversized snook that was recently caught while fishing the same event. So guys, as long as the weather is good, there's plenty of opportunity to get out, and the weather looks like it's going to be good this weekend. Possibly a small little front coming through might cool things off and trigger a bite. So get out there and catch you some fish.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Great report for the Phillips Southwest region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. He says inshore juvenile tarpon, spillways, and feeder creeks with moving water from Coon Key to the Barron River. And then offshore, permit, wrecks, artificial reefs, Indian Key, the Wiggins Pass, using that live crab.
A live crab. All right, anglers, it's time to get your bucket of oats, chum, and sand, or whatever you want ready for this weekend and catch yourself some dinner. But stay with us so we can tell you what lunker we're weighing in next week.
Keyword,
we'll be right
lunker,
back.
lunker.
All right, next week we're talking bass, so make sure to tune on in. It's gonna be a good time. We've only got a few more shows left, so I want you guys to tune in and come on the road with us for that one. But guys, we've got Dennis over here, and it has been amazing doing
totally
the show
different.
with a live artist.
It looks totally different from the time he came in here.
It looks totally different. It's
It
beautiful.
really does.
I've been mesmerized. I've been so distracted this time.
I know.
Dennis,
I'm over
thank
there
you
trying
so
to
much.
listen to the captains, and I'm looking over Dennis's shoulder.
Right.
But you know what, Dennis? We got Prosix beef jerky. They're the best jerky makers in the whole world.
He's been working hard.
They're one of our Texas.
I already gave
Give him
Texas
some
sponsors. I want to
snacks.
share some
you,
of
sir.
my foundings with you.
Well, Dennis, we'll see
That's delicious.
this painting at the CCA banquet. The lucky winner is going to get it. I hope
Yes, we
it's
will.
somebody we know. But thank you guys for tuning in. Go catch those
You can bid on it
Yellowtail,
now,
and
Rick.
we'll see you.
Bid on it now.
I'll bid on it now.